You're so loud. All I hear is go, Leia, go. No, go be free. Anyway. Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am drinking tea and also dishing out the tea on moving. So I've been meaning to make this video for a hot minute. I basically tried so hard to video me moving and the process of like moving out, but it was such a hectic day. I have like a tiny bit of footage and I might put it in right here. So if I do, then I do. If not, I'm going to talk you through it. Basically, I was in a very fortunate position when I was younger to buy a house. Honestly, props up to anyone that's managed to save at the same age that I was when I first bought my house, which was my young 20s. But the only reason I was able to do it is really bittersweet, and it's because my dad died when I was younger. So I had like a bit of inheritance money, which I decided with my boyfriend at the time to put down into a house and kind of see if I could like make some money of it and invest my money basically. So I thought it was a good idea to do that. And rent prices at the time when I was younger were really high, and our mortgage was going to be a lot cheaper, but also rent prices now are extraordinarily higher than what they were back then. So yeah, it's honestly the whole like housing landscape in the UK has changed massively, and like the living crisis has dramatically impacted how it is to live in the UK. So anyway, I think I might have been like 21 or 22 when I bought my house. Found my house, which was like a really hard process. I kept going to view places with my partner at the time, and like we'd either like it for certain reasons or hate it for certain reasons. I really like old school houses and like older houses and like cute cozy looking houses, and my ex really wanted like a big house and a more modern house. So we ended up finding a house that's kind of the in between, but it also needed like a lot of work doing to it. We ended up getting the house, and honestly everybody should do whatever they're gonna do, but my massive learning curve would be that I would never ever agree to buy a house in the same position again, because I just feel like the outcome of it left me in a financial situation that wasn't fair to my initial starting situation. And I'm not going to go fully into the ins and outs, but my ex definitely made it hard for like a fair exit of the property, I would say that. So anyway, me and him broke up, and then COVID happened, and it was really crazy, and it just left this long time where we didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know if I could like try and pay for it myself and stay living there, which honestly, looking back, I really wish I had done that for that time period and just paid him off to get him off the property. The only problem is it was like a really hard time. During COVID, I was on furlough, and then everybody was getting made redundant at my old workplace. So I used to work for a photography studio, and the client that we had no longer needed us because they were bought over by another company. So the studio that I was working in was like gone, and they were basically making everyone redundant, and they knew that this process was happening. So I ended up going freelance to accumulate more money because I could earn more on a day rate freelance than I could staying there, and because I hadn't been with the company very long, I wouldn't be entitled to a very big redundancy. So I was like, okay, what I'm gonna have to do is leave, and basically that's what I did. So I left the company and worked freelance for a while, and then there was no more work there. At the same time, during the pandemic is when I started Twitch streaming like more full time and like taking it a bit more seriously and thinking this could be a possible job. I was getting gifted like so much during the pandemic. Like I was in a really fortunate position that I can't even believe. I look back now and I'm like, wow, people really spent like so much money on me during the pandemic. Thank you so much, because you honestly helped me in a really hard time of my life, because all my money was wrapped up in the house that I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't get an agreement with my ex on what to do. So it was just all crazy, and I literally hadn't got any money. So there was some amazing people out there who really did support me during like a really hard time in my life. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But anyway, I really like took a hard look at myself, and I was like, this isn't like stable, like to live off Twitch subs and things like that, especially when it's gifted, because it's not like I'd built up a community of say like 300 people who every month subscribed to me. It was like people were gifting me like a lot, so it kind of like skewed what I could sort of say was an average wage, if that makes sense. So basically I decided to get a part-time job, which I got. When I was at my part-time job, I really didn't enjoy it. I kind of tried to stick it out for the money side of it, and because it kind of worked alongside what I wanted to try and do, which was to push streaming. So it gave me a good balance of being able to make content and also having a stable income. It was just really, really, really hard to maintain a job that I really didn't enjoy. And I had a lot of like personal issues that year as well, like my motorbike accident and my spider bite, and like a lot of things that really caused like distress to my working. And I had a lot of issues at work, which honestly, I am so ready to do like a whole like YouTube video on my old workplace and like how horrific it is being a mixed race Black woman in a business environment, because it's not okay, it's not nice. And I had really bad experiences, and having spoken to a lot of my friends and peers who are Black, they've also had like similar experiences and issues in their workplaces, and some people have had way worse experiences than me. So I definitely want to discuss like what it's like, and I honestly might take that over to Black Snowflake, my podcast series, which I'm going to be starting back up again soon, so stay tuned for that one. But coming back to moving, so basically my house went on the market, and they originally estimated that my house would be worth 100 grand more than what we originally agreed to buy the house for, which is obviously like a substantial amount of money increase. However, when it actually came around to selling, nobody wanted to pay that for it. The house needed a lot of work doing to it, and unfortunately it ended up dropping by about 25 grand on what was originally assumed to be the sale price. Because it kept dropping in price, and my ex didn't really want to not achieve the amount they originally said, and he believed that the house was worth that, even though the house was in a poor condition. And when I say poor condition, it's not like it was falling apart, it needed decorating. But when you have like open bare walls where you can see like that it needs plastering, or you have no flooring, you know, things like that, it really does drag down the price of your house. Or like no banisters, and like there's just like so many things on the list, right, of things that needed doing in that house. The great thing going for the house was it had just had a new boiler put in during the pandemic, so had a new boiler, but it really did, I don't know what state it is now, but it needed like somebody to come in and like overhaul the whole house. It would have been a really beautiful house had someone done that, and there's a lot of reasons I fell in love with that house. And when I look back, that will always be my first ever house that I owned, and I'm very proud that I did have the opportunity to own that house. I just feel like, upon reflecting, one advice tip I would give to anybody that's looking to buy a house is do not push yourself to the means that you cannot decorate or get the house up to a standard you like, because you can buy a cheap house that needs like work doing to it, but if you're buying a cheap house that needs work doing to it and you have no money to start that work off, you're going to end up having this house that's just daunting over you and just needs work, and it's just honestly hard to make time, especially if you're full-time working and things like that. I would just say bear that in mind, because one of the things I wish I'd done is not put so much money in the house and had a slightly bigger mortgage, and then been able to actually make the house better. Because if I'd actually done that, the house probably would have sold for more money anyway, but all my money became tied up in the property and I couldn't really access it very easily, and the only thing I could do was probably take a mortgage out against my mortgage. But I'd already done that for my ex to be able to buy a business, but that also complicated our finances even more. Honestly, if you're not 100% sure that you're with your forever person, please be so skeptical about the agreements you make financially. You may want to help someone, but it may bite you in the ass if that person doesn't end up being your forever person. Or if that, stop it, don't put your claws in me. Please just like use your best thinking cap, because honestly, love and all of this like emotion can cloud your judgment so much. Think logically, think objectively, and make sure you're making the right decision. The one correct thing that I did do, which I'm very happy I did do, was have an agreement going into the house on what I felt was fair at the time. Now, I still believe what I went into the house and agreed was fair. However, and we both did. However, with the time where the person, my ex, was not at the property and I was, and the things that they were then paying for and I was paying for, and like the house upgrades that I did do, I believe that it was not fair ultimately. And unfortunately, because the price kept falling on how much the property was going to sell for, there was a minimum that he was willing to walk away with. So I had to therefore relinquish some of my rights to some of the money so that he would agree to sell the house. And that's kind of what happened. So as you can see, really messy, really horrible. I hate anything to do with money. And I ultimately got to a point where I was like, I have to either decide if money is more important than my sanity and being able to move forward with my life and let go of this house. And honestly, like, the environment you live really impacts you. And like, because the house wasn't great, I never invited my friends over, and I always felt embarrassed about my house. I didn't want to make any content really around my house because it was just like, ugh. I hated it. I really just wish I'd spent money, time and energy on making that house beautiful. It could have been a beautiful house, but I didn't. And the things I did do did impact me in a positive way in the house. Like, I painted the front room and I did certain things when my ex left. I redid my bedroom, all these kind of things. It impacted me in a positive way temporarily, but ultimately I still really hated my house, and there's still a lot of work that needed doing to make it to the standard that I would like love. I would definitely take advice on that and just really think about who it is you're buying this property with. If it's still possible to buy it yourself, I would do that. Like, honestly, I personally now want to consider investing in property and like something along those lines. But if I did that, I wouldn't want to have a partner involved in that or anything like that. Like, it would be an investment thing for me, and that's how I would view it, and that's how I want to see kind of it in the future, if that makes sense. Oh god, so stressful out here being an adult. Honestly, money is like the bane of my life. Adulting and the realization that money really does evolve around everything is honestly exhausting, because you have to think without your emotions. And if you're an emotional person like me, it can be really hard. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about my moving day, because it was like the most stressful time ever. So when we finally got like the offer on the house, we had 2 offers. One of them was like slightly less money, but it was a cash offer. So it was $5,000 less and it was a cash offer. And then we had one for $5,000 more that was a mortgage offer with a 1 chain, which meant somebody was buying their house, but nobody was buying that person's house. That chain made my life so freaking stressful. I can't even tell you like how stressful it was. I wish I'd gone with the other person, and yeah, $5,000 is a lot of money. I believe $5,000 is a lot of money, trust me. But when I say like how much it impacts you, waiting and like not knowing and waiting for confirmations and blah blah, I wish I'd gone with the cash buyer 100%. So yeah, I went with this guy who offered me $5,000 more, and it was a bit stressful. I accepted the offer. I think they told me originally that it could be done as quickly as like 11 weeks, but it ended up being, I'm gonna say like 6 months or something. I think it was about 6 months, the process of like selling my house and moving out, like from the point that we had the offer confirmed. It was incredibly stressful. I was constantly emailing, constantly asking. And even before that, I was missing work because I was having to like let people come and view the house. I was having to clean, tidy, and then let people view the house, which meant I'd take a day off work and be like, yeah, someone's coming to view the house, I need to clean, and then I need to show them around it or leave the house, because I didn't really like being there when they were viewing the house. It was really stressful for me as somebody that was doing all of this kind of alone. Like, my ex didn't help at all, and I paid for like all the gardening work and stuff myself. I had like somebody come out and tidy it up. He was supposed to give me money for it, but he just never did. So it's fine. Bygones. The guy's out of my life. Bygones, whatever. Money brings out the worst in people, the worst. They become selfish. And anyway, so come to the moving out day. Didn't even get confirmation that I was 100% moving the day we agreed to move, because the money still hadn't been transferred, which they told me was normal, but they hadn't even had confirmation from the other chain side, which they said was worrying. So basically I got a call at like 11, I think it was like 11 a.m. saying, yes, you're 100% moving today. Can you be out by like 2:33? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can. So I planned to go to an Airbnb because I needed to basically find somewhere to rent, and I still hadn't found anywhere. So I was planning to Airbnb and hotel until I found somewhere to live. So I had that all sorted, but all of my stuff needed to go into storage or be in my car. Should I do that to you? Dong, 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 dong. So all of my stuff needed to be in storage. I had pretty much taken what I thought was a lot of stuff to storage, and I'd been to the tip when I say about 20-30 times I'd been, and to the point that they all knew me down there, and they were like, oh, you're not coming back again, are you? And I was like, no, I'm good, I've done everything I need to do. No, I hadn't done anywhere near what I thought I needed to do. I literally, when I kid you not, recorded like a bit in the morning, and I thought it would be fine, and then panic mode. It just felt like the more I kept moving to the storage unit, the more there was. It's like it wasn't going down, the amount was getting bigger. By 2:30, the guy had arrived who bought the house with his like truck of people who were moving in, and was like, can we start putting stuff in? And I'm like, I'm not done yet. I haven't hoovered. It's mess everywhere. I was like, you can put stuff in the garden, you can take up the garden shed was clear, everything like that was clear, like the conservatory and everything like that had cleared, and the kitchen was cleared, but the rest of the house was not. And I was like, okay, so you can, but it's mess everywhere. So then I like was in like crazy mode and was like running to and from the tip and then running to and from the storage unit. The storage unit shut at 5 and I didn't take the extra key, which meant I was a bit fucked. I had to pay for an extra storage unit because I ended up needing more space, and I needed the space for rubbish because I couldn't go to the tip again that day because the tip shut. And I was just, honestly, it was just overwhelming, completely overwhelming. I will never do that again. If I'm moving again like that, I will buy and pay for removers to help me move, because there's just no way. When I moved out, I realized how much shit I had accumulated and how much of it I really didn't need or use anymore. I put a lot of things on FaceBay, and then ultimately I just tipped anything else. In my current house, I have bought furniture pieces that I basically threw away or were broken from the old house, like a new gaming desk and things like that, because my old desk like really was broken. Let me have a sip. I feel like I haven't drank any of my tea yet. I'm just spilling the tea and I haven't even drank the tea yet. Oh, it's so good. I'm having a chai and it's so nice, and I always sprinkle a bit of extra cinnamon on the top and I love it. So yeah, I bought stuff new for this house, but when I move from this house, I'm gonna definitely get removers to help me, because I feel like I will keep all of my furniture, because none of it is broken, and I plan on now just maintaining and, you know, not buying excessive things, which I feel like is what I'd got to in my old house. My freaking phone battery died, so we're gonna finish the video here. So to recap, yeah, I was just talking to you guys about the day of moving and how stressful it was. I basically ended up leaving stuff outside the front of the house and telling him I would come and take it to the tip the next day. We went to the Airbnb. The Airbnb was like so cute, really relaxing. I felt peace for the first time in like a really long time. I was like, wow, I feel at peace. And then when I started like looking further, because I had been looking for places to rent, I really, really wanted to find somewhere that was just really peaceful and really calm. And honestly, the place I'm at now is so peaceful and so calm. If you guys want to have like a little tour of my new house, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, so I'm happy to be where I am now. It's a lot different, a lot calmer and things like that. I'm hoping to be a bit more productive where I am now. Now I just need to get the ball rolling. The whole process of buying a house and selling a house, on a scale of 1 to 10 on stress, I would genuinely say it was like a 10. I found it incredibly stressful. And I guess maybe if you had like a partner and were doing it all together and like had that stability, it wouldn't be so stressful. But because I didn't really have that through the process, it was incredibly like stressful for me, and I found it like a lot. So yeah, I guess takeaway from this video should be that think with your brain and not your emotions, and try and make sure that you already have the outcome before you go into something, which again, I basically did have. It's just like things had changed and we hadn't discussed what that would mean for the outcome if things were to like separate further. It's like when we took the loan out for my ex's business, we didn't discuss how that would impact our previous agreement on the house, and we never had a lawyer like write it up, so there was never anything set in stone. So that is my biggest kind of learn and curveball, but it's fine. We live and we learn. We live and we learn. But that's kind of spilling the tea. I feel like I've gone into a lot today. I hope that if you like watch this video, that you kind of get a takeaway of kind of what it's like, and maybe just like to be more organized. Like, and even when you think you're being organized, just rethink, am I being organized? Is this going to be a lot of work? And make sure you get help and advice as much as you freaking can, because that's what I wish I'd done. Like, even on my move day, my mum offered to help and I was like, no, I've got this. And honestly, like if my mum and my stepdad had come and helped and I had their vehicles too, I feel like the moving process would have been like so much easier for me and so much simpler. But yeah, honestly, I would say to anybody that's like thinking of buying a house, who's in their 20s or whatever age range you are, to do it if it's what you want to do. But I genuinely believe that property should be looked at as an investment nowadays. And just remember, when you buy a house, in my opinion, you're really committing to a minimum of 5 to 10 years. Obviously you're not, and you could move in and like immediately sell, Well, what would be the financial reason to do that? You would probably be out of pocket with lawyer fees and things like that if you did that. So realistically, if you buy a house, in my opinion, you should be considering staying there for a minimum of 5 years. You know, stamp duty and all these like little fees that people don't even think about when they're buying a house do come into play quite often. So I guess it's just making yourself fully aware of everything, and then making sure that you're not taking on too much workload and that you have enough money if you need to decorate or buy things for the house or fill it or whatever you want to do, that you give yourself the money and time to be able to do that. One of the things I also wish I'd done when I moved in was take more time off to be able to actually put more money into the house, or more time and energy, and do things myself. I wish I'd been a bit more proactive in that sense. And I think if I was ever going to take on like a house that needed work again, I would want to do a lot of the work myself, but I would take a substantial amount of time off work to get it done and do it myself, kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of things to think about, and I think you don't always think about it. And I think especially if you're buying with someone else, I think it's always worth thinking about, well, what if we don't work in like a year, a 2 year, 3, whatever it is? What if we don't work? Can I do this alone? What will be the financial implication? What will be the housework implication? Because, you know, if your house does need work, will you be able to do the work on your own? Will that person still want to contribute to the workload? All these kind of questions, I think it's really important to really, really heavily think about, sincerely. But yeah, it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. Honestly, buying a house and things can be like such a, you know, fulfilling experience. It's definitely not like necessarily always negative and things like that, but I think it's just going in with your head on your head. Not your heart. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this YouTube video. If you have, make sure you guys drop a follow and subscribe for more content. I do try and upload a video every single Sunday. And again, if you guys want a house tour or any more content, or want to know more about the actual like specific fees and that involved with buying and selling and things like that, let me know, because I can kind of go through some of that information. Like I've done it, so I do know. I honestly hope that anyone who's watched this video who has bought their own house and everything like that has had like a really great experience, and that it's been smooth sailing. Like I say, it's all circumstantial and individual, so what works for others doesn't work for some. But if you guys are in that, I hope that it's going well for you. Anyway, bye. Oh, side note, happy Father's Day.